opening statement that was prepared and given to me, and I'm going to make it part of the record. But I'm also going to divert a little bit this morning to talk about something that I'm even more familiar with, which is the real-life value of forensic science. Lawyers don't win cases. Facts win cases, and increasingly those facts are rooted in science. 20 years ago, I met a young man by the name of Ricky Tyrone Samuel. Ricky had a wonderful mother by the name of Sylvine who loved him and wanted a good life for him, and Ricky got into a little bit of trouble, as young men from time to time do. So Ricky had a choice. He could follow that sometimes predictable path for young people who get in trouble, or he could use that incident to try to turn his life around. He chose to turn his life around, and he met with us at the United States Attorney's Office, and he met with federal law enforcement officers and did what we encourage people to do in all facets of life, which is to accept responsibility and tell the truth. I was sitting in a courtroom about 6 months after I met Ricky Samuel, well before they had cell phones, and you could feel the pager vibrating. But you can't look at it, not in a room with a federal judge, so it just kept vibrating and vibrating and vibrating, and finally on a break I looked and saw those ominous numbers 911, connected with a callback number to an ATF agent who I was working the case with. And I called the ATF agent back, and he said, Ricky Samuel's body was found this morning on his knees beside an isolated, tranquil pond in northern Greenville County. No witnesses except the trees, no shell casings, just a single bullet, execution style, the back of his head. Now, I knew exactly who was responsible for killing Ricky Samuel. His name had just been released to the criminal defense attorneys that were defending someone in a federal criminal trial. Just released the name in discovery. But knowing something and proving something are two entirely different things. I knew who was responsible. Now we had to prove it. In Ricky's home in Spartanburg, there was a Bible. And that's not unusual in South Carolina to find a Bible, but this one was brand new. It was a gift from a man who had been visiting in the neighborhood, going door to door, trying to introduce people to Jesus. So the police took that Bible into evidence for some reason. They logged it in, and on a single solitary page and a single solitary book called Ezekiel was a fingerprint. Wouldn't be unusual to find a fingerprint in my wife's Bible or my grandmother's Bible. Pretty unusual to find one in a brand new Bible. So the police ran that fingerprint through the database, and it came back to a Bob Harry Fowler. Mr. Fowler was not a preacher. Mr. Fowler was not an evangelist. Mr. Fowler was a contract killer sent to Spartanburg, South Carolina to kill a federal witness. I don't remember the name of the technician. I do remember the name of the judge. I remember the name of the defense attorney. I remember the prosecutor who took the lead in that case, because it's the best prosecutor I've ever seen in my life or ever will see in my life, a man by the name of David Stevens. What I remember most of all is that Ricky Samuel's mother now knows who killed him. And she knows who killed him because a technician took the time to flip through every single page of a piece of evidence that most lawyers would have said, don't even collect it. Nothing can mitigate the pain of a loss, but knowing that the people who took your son's life are serving life without parole in federal prison is at least one way to close the chapter, at least on the criminal justice part of it. Single solitary fingerprint on a single solitary page in the book of Ezekiel was the single best piece of evidence that we had in what was the only federal murder case in the last 25 years in the upstate of South Carolina. It's because of science. Science convicts, science exonerates, science is what the jury wants, science is what the jury needs.